1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, guys, let's get this thing rolling. Cheers to Monday morning. Jonathan
Cheers.
Thomas, Marshall
There it is.
Norris, as in Chuck. Cheers. Jonathan is enjoying a beer.
I am.
Marshall and I are both. I don't know, but I had an exciting weekend, so I'm.
So did I.
Are you? So you're just hydrating and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least until noon.
Today I have the day off, and I don't care that it's
dude.
early. It's time for a beer. So
Heck yeah, man. Heck yes. Well, the first time I met you was at a brewery, right?
That's right.
So it
Yeah.
we have to continue this. Every time we see each other, it has to be
I think that's a good idea.
in the presence of
I
beer.
I like that. I like that.
Like that.
So, Marshall, we've got his music playing right now
Love
over
it.
at Jonathan Thomas and the Little Room Band.
Little Room Band on Spotify.
Little Room Band.
Yep.
The Little Room Band?
The Little Room Band. Sometimes it's Jonathan Thomas and
Okay.
the Little Room Band.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you search Little Room Band, you'll find us.
And you will enjoy
And it's worth
us.
searching.
Them, I say. Oh,
Appreciate
absolutely. For sure. Dude, been a big fan of yours ever since I met you. We met at the now closed Helio Basin.
That's right.
They did some pretty cool little music events there, and I met you at one of those. So
Yeah, I think we were playing with Fayuca.
yes.
Oh, cool.
Which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
J
yeah.
Rob, was that when J Rob the Chief he did the rapper guy from Discover Phoenix, or I can't
Yes,
remember.
you're
PJ
right.
Reyes
Yep.
is-
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's all coming back now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I only remember because I took photos and videos, and every once in a while I'll scroll. I'm like, oh yeah,
Right,
oh yeah.
right.
But no, man. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
This is great.
absolutely. And as Marshall and I, almost this podcast is us introducing each other to musicians, right? It is, because introduce him to Hourglass Cats. He introduced me to Emily Whitehurst and her music, and we just keep going back and forth.
That's
So,
awesome. That's great.
so I
Beer and
recommend-
music. I mean,
And
What?
beer and music. That's
Absolutely.
just right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then selfishly, we get to hang out with them and
Right.
listen to them play.
Well, why not do this unless a little bit selfishly, right? For sure.
Well, we love it. It's self-serving for
Yeah.
sure.
It is, absolutely, and
Yeah.
and we're excited to hear you guys play here in a little bit. But
Heck yeah.
but first, I want to hear about you, because I met you, like I said, at Helio Basin. We just connected. I loved your music, number one, and then we just connected, on a personal level. But are you from Arizona originally?
Yeah, born and
Okay.
raised.
All right.
Grew up in Kingman.
Oh, no kidding.
So that's we actually was born in Phoenix, but Kingman's where I grew up. Jeff, who's going to be playing banjo today, and then our drummer, who's not here, but we all went to high school together.
Okay.
Oh,
and
cool.
so
Yeah.
we've been playing music together since then. So
In Kingman.
yeah. And then I came out here for college, and it's amazing that the three of us still stay in touch. We still play music together.
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen very often.
Yeah, and you
Um,
want to probably, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Most people you run into from high school, you're like, oh,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to
But
see
no.
high school people in the grocery
right.
store.
No,
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
different. These two guys, I owe so much to them because they've followed me through so many things, and every time we have something like this, they're like, yeah, we'll be there. I'm like, it's amazing. But
Yeah.
so we've been playing music for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it growing up in Kingman? Like, what is it?
Oh,
I've been up
it's-
there I went to, was it College Street Brewery? College Street Brewery?
It's
there
been a while since
They're in
I've
Havasu. Rickety Crickets in Kingman.
yeah,
Okay,
and
yeah,
Blackbridge.
that's-
Blackbridge
yeah,
is in
okay,
Kingman
that's
as well.
right.
Yeah. Growing up in Kingman, there was two things to do: either music or drugs.
Okay.
So, or both.
Yeah.
Or both.
I see those two going together very well
Yes,
sometimes.
Yeah.
definitely. But what's interesting there about Kingman is there was really nowhere to play or do shows. So we did a lot of house shows.
Okay.
So we'd be set up in somebody's kitchen, somebody's living room, their back porch. Every once in a while, a church would let us play until some punks from Lake Havasu would come and kick holes in the wall, and then we couldn't play there anymore. And so the scene was fun. I mean, it was
Yeah.
cool because it was like we built the scene.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we're going around begging to play at a place. It was like we just came and everybody knew each other. We all there's just this big community.
Yeah.
And a lot of the bands we played with were like punk bands.
Okay.
Punk bands, metal bands, screamo bands, and then we were the acoustic setup that either opened or whatever the case. But people liked it, and,
Yeah.
and it fit for whatever reason. So we've always kind of had like a punk edge because of that.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we used to whenever we, you had these kids that would like mosh and everything, but when we were set, they would all sit on the floor cross-legged.
Yeah.
And just like, and it was just like this tradition that started that was like just really fun and cool. And I kind of missed those days. It was really cool. So
in playing the style of music that you play still today, playing original stuff, covers, both.
Yeah. So when we started out playing, there was always the folk and bluegrass in it, but we were kind of doing all kinds of stuff because we were just high school kids. We didn't know what we were doing. So, we mixed all kinds of stuff in there, but it was always kind of like a classic feel, whatever we did. But mostly sticking to that folk and bluegrass style. And finally kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, that's the thing that we need to focus. I'm focusing on too many genres all at once and trying to make it, we need to like pick our lane, and folk and bluegrass was it for sure for me, because I just love it so much. So and what's nice about it is you can kind of incorporate a little bit of that other like punk rock into it, and it's a lot of fun. So
So back up just a little. When did you start playing? What was it that were your parents musicians?
My dad plays piano, and he was like a prodigy. He was one of those at like 4 years old would like teach his piano, like, or trick his piano teachers into thinking that he was actually reading the music, but really he was playing it by ear, and they'd smack his hand when they realized it and made him do it again. He's amazing. But I grew up in church listening to him play.
Okay.
He was a church planter, and we'd go from church to church, and he would always play in the band and lead the band on piano. And he has that like old school honky tonk piano style. And a lot of the places that the churches that he would play at would be these like rural cowboy towns. And so the other musicians that would come in would be people with violins and mandolins and playing the like classic like gospel, like, I'll Fly Away and I See the Light, or I Saw the Light, like those sorts of things. So that's kind of what like I think where it started from.
Okay.
And that's where you kind of got that bluegrassy influence.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's always been kind of
unique
in there. Yeah,
for sure.
So it started from church gospel, and it's kind of went from there. And then I finally picked up a guitar like middle school. I was really into emo music at the time, and there was that trend of like acoustic emo music. And so like the early November and bands like that I started to kind of copy and just to start writing music. And then there was a show once, it was a house show, and the band that was supposed to open was this acoustic opener, and they, for whatever reason, flaked out. And so my friend was like, hey, you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I booked it home as fast as I could, grabbed my guitar, came back, and like it was probably the worst set ever. But did like 2 songs, and like from there, it was like I was hooked.
Yeah.
Like it was from then on, I was like, I got to do this. This is too much fun. So.
Yeah. I like it. You could pick out the moment. Like that was
the
show. Like
yeah.
That was, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. For sure.
Quick side note.
Yeah.
What's the like music store situation, like instrument stores in Kingman like?
When I was growing up, there was one music store, and then there was a Hastings. I don't know if you remember Hastings, but Hastings was like a Zia Records kind of.
Yeah.
It had some, but there was one music store. But the thing about Kingman is like everything always like opened and closed. Like so, the music store would be open for a little bit, and then it would shut down, and then a new music store would rise up in the same place, and you're like, the last 3 music stores didn't make it in this spot. Is it really a good idea to do it again? But that was the way Kingman was. So it's just, so it was always like hit or miss with that kind of thing. I mean, the music scene, like I said, there wasn't one, so we just had to create our own.
Yeah.
So.
That was a good question, Marshall. I like it because
Well,
you don't even think about that.
Well, access to access to instruments, and like, or you break your strings. Like, you have to drive to Havasu or Flagstaff to find a place to.
Yeah.
Luckily, there was usually at least one place in town that you could go to.
It's like Amazon wasn't a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Next day, your strings over, or whatever.
Right.
So.
Yeah. String breaks for me. I quit. I'm done.
Right.
Another 2
like,
years before I pick that
show's
thing up
canceled.
Yeah. Well, it was fun while it lasted. Yeah.
Well, so what brought you to I know you said college brought you to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like, what were you pursuing, I guess, at the same time?
So I decided to start school. I didn't know really what I wanted to do yet. Wanted to do something in the vein of music. So I went to ACU. I minored in music. And I was playing at churches and like also trying to make the scene happen. But then there's life and a wife and all those sorts of things. And so music kind of became like I need to find something that's like I'm actually going to be able to pay the bills with first.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so I ended up going and getting my master's in counseling and going into that field. And And at first it felt like, oh wow, like now like I've given up on it, right?
Sure.
But actually what it really did was it gave me the opportunity to do it more, because now I'm not worrying about like other things. Like now I have the means to actually pursue what I want to do
For sure.
more.
Yeah.
Be able to be more creative and not have to worry about all that. And so even though maybe as a kid I kind of romanticized the whole thing of like, you know, going on tour and being famous and all that stuff. And then as I've gotten older, it's become this thing that's like, well, it's the thing that keeps me sane.
Yeah. Sure.
and I do it for me, and if other people like it, that's great.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome, you know, and I appreciate that. But it has to start here, so that it's meaningful, and I'm really giving like a part of myself to those people. So if they get something from it, like that's just a bonus.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. I mean, when you do that also, like going from a career that I didn't like to like wanting to make the leap into this, you know, reading certain things, and it's like, you know what, keeping that job or having that job actually makes you dangerous for that thing that you're, you know, because it doesn't, you're not desperate. You're not like, I guess I'll do this because I got to pay the bills. It's like, hey, this is paying the bills. Now I can do this the way that I want to do it.
Yeah, and I've seen so many of those guys that like once it becomes the job, it's not fun anymore.
Sure.
And I have to say, like, we're still having fun.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so it's working.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Well, I guess that kind of leads to like, what is the big picture look like for you?
That's an excellent question. I wish I had an answer for you. It's been something that's been mulling around in my brain for a while, because I don't know. I think for a long time I had an idea of what it looked like, and then COVID came, turned all our lives upside down.
Sure.
And we all kind of had to start from scratch again. And I feel like we're just now we're coming out of it. It's almost like I'm starting at square one again. Like we worked really hard to network and kind of get to where we were.
Yeah.
And then when COVID came, it pulled all of that away. And now we're back to like, okay, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So that's a very apt question, very appropriate, because I think that's one of the things I'm still trying to figure out at this point.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're playing and doing our thing and just kind of seeing where it goes. Anytime I've stepped back and just gone, you know what, stop trying to control it so much and just see what happens, that's usually when things start to happen.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
And so that's I think that's what I'm going to do. Just kind of sit back and have fun and see where it goes.
I like it, man. I like it. Well, I guess I kind of jumped ahead a little too fast. I guess before COVID, like, tell us a little bit about like the path. You were like, you know, you were at ASU, you said?
ACU is where I started. Small Christian college.
Okay.
Then I went to Grand Canyon. And so you're kind of asking about like kind of where we got
music kind of follow this path along with you.
Yeah. So for me, music has always been just a way for me to process my own stuff.
Okay.
Get through my own things, and a lot of that comes out in the songs. And my talent isn't necessarily the guitar playing or even the singing. I feel like my talent came in putting songs together, telling stories that my very talented friends could come along and back me up.
Hey.
And so I don't even know what it's kind of always been like. I don't know where we're going with this, but let's try to get as many gigs as possible. We got some really, lucky things that happened where people agreed to record our album and start playing around town. And it always has been, if I have to be honest, looking back, it's always been kind of like, I don't know where we're going. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what the end goal is, other than we got this gig this weekend. Let's just make it the best gig we can, and then just kind of going from there. So,
yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I dig it. Yeah. So, should we hear some music? Should we?
Yeah.
One more question before.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm curious.
I'm just so anxious to hear his music.
Me too. But I've been trying to ask all the artists that come on the show, what's your songwriting style like?
Yeah.
I mean, do you write lyrics first? Do you have a melody first? Do you have some sort of riff that you like to follow along?
Most of the time, it starts with the lyrics. And what I've found is, like, anytime I try to sit down and, like, I'm going to sit down and write a song, it just doesn't happen. It always comes to you in, like, the weirdest times, like when you're stuck in traffic and you can't write anything down. Yeah. Like, there's so many times where I've thought of a song while I'm driving and I have to, like, voice record it really quick. But a lot of it is just, like I kind of mentioned before, a lot of it's, like, dealing with my own stuff. My own like existential crises I have, like, I have 6 of those a day probably. Probably knock that out before lunch. And so it's just been my way of like kind of dealing with all that stuff and thinking through those things. And, like even the questions you're asking of like, what's next? A lot of that stuff is like, that's where what comes out in the songs is just me dealing with those my own like existential crises and what does this all mean and where's it supposed to go? And that's usually how the songs come about. So I think the reason why I like folk and bluegrass so much is because it has a lot of that kind of built into it. There's all these stories in songs about hobos who hop the trains and they don't know where they're going, and then they try to settle down and they can't, and because they're set on that life of wandering. And so you'll hear a lot of in our songs this concept of wandering and rambling. And to me, it's not the literal wandering and rambling. It's my own propensity to like wander away from whatever path I'm on, and then having to find my way back.
Out of curiosity.
Yeah, just like, or just out of just life, just like distractions. Like I'm set on this way, and something comes up, and I get distracted. So now I'm going back this way, and it's like that old hymn that goes, "Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love." That growing up hearing that was always really like striking to me. Yeah. Because there's always this like battle that goes on inside of like, this is the path I'm supposed to go down. This is the thing I'm supposed to do. And then life just kind of brings you this way, and you have to wander back. And so that's where bluegrass came in. So a lot of the songwriting gets kind of funneled through that perception and through those themes. It just, for whatever reason, just always kind of tends to come back to that. And so for me, I'm usually thinking about something that I'm going through or dealing with, and then the lyrics just kind of pop up, and then that's the song. And I kind of go back to something that Hank Williams said, where he said, if you can't write it in 5 minutes, just throw it in the trash. And that's kind of how I've always like done it, is like, if it doesn't come to me right away, on to the next thing. And all the songs that I've really loved and I feel like people have resonated with are those ones that just came out in one sitting. And so that's usually what the process looks like. So I don't sit down and like try to make it happen. I just, when it comes, and I just go from there.
Badass.
Yeah.
Well, that's like you were comparing it to the bluegrass, style and different elements, but like that type of music just in general, like it was just played, right? Just for joy. Like it wasn't like, it wasn't like these guys in, northern West Virginia were like, hey, we're going to go tour northeastern Ohio, hit up Pittsburgh, no, they just played, they just played it just for, that was just,
I mean, the biggest thing that's brought me joy in any of this has been playing music with my friends. That's just been, and anytime it's not me playing music with my friends, it never feels the same. So if it's just me up there, I'm like, that was a good show, but I didn't really have as much fun. When it's me and my friends, I think that's where like I try to chase that feeling that comes from that a lot. And I think bluegrass is all about community and family and connecting with people in music. So playing bluegrass by yourself doesn't fit that. Right. And so there's definitely a big part of that for sure.
All right. Well, you got 2 friends here. We should
That's
get
right.
them.
Sounds good.
Let's make some music with your friends.
Well, so how do people find you? So we said the Little Room Band on Spotify. How else can people discover you guys?
Instagram, the Little Room Band, PHX. That's where we post like everything. We're also on Facebook. We'll post where our shows will be. But look up the Little Room Band on anywhere you listen to your music digitally, and got a few albums, and then YouTube, we got some music videos up on there too. So if you're into folk and bluegrass, check us out.
Was it Amarillo is the one where you guys are outside of the vehicle?
Yeah, we did a video for that. My brother actually shot that video for us. Yeah.
Dude, that's a really cool video. I like that.
That was a lot of fun.
You're going to play Amarillo too?
If you want, that's on the list.
Heck yeah.
All right, sounds
man,
good.
Let's do it. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you. All right, this first song I always preface by saying we have nothing against the great state of Texas. But there is one town there that no matter how many times I've been through there, something bad always happens. And what kind of self-respecting folk band would we be without a song about a place we hate? So that's this song. It goes like this. Oh, I'm trying to keep myself sane, but these demons keep causing me pain. And if these demons Please promise me you won't send me back to Amarillo. Don't send me back, 'cause I won't go. The place has brought me nothing but sorrow. Don't send me back, I cannot go. Please promise me you won't send me back to Amarillo. Well, I said it before, and I know it didn't last. That these storms in my head would pass. And if these storms in my head don't slow, please promise me you won't send me back to Amarillo. Don't send me back, 'cause I won't go. Place has brought me nothing but sorrow. Send me back, I cannot go. Please promise me you won't send me back to Amarillo. Thank you. All right, this next one is called Wandering Ways. We had a friend once who we were playing, and he shouted out, "Play the one about rambling," which doesn't really narrow it down very much. He was just being kind of snarky, which was funny, because we sing a lot of songs about wandering and rambling. So that's where this song came from. It's not necessarily an answer, but a response to that. So it goes like this. Well, I can't quit my wandering ways. I've been rambling for days. I've been up and down all over this town. And I can't quit my wandering ways. Lord, I thought it would be a phase, but I keep finding myself so far away from home. And I thought I could settle down, found me a woman with hair so brown. I thought I'd make her happy all my days. But that whistle started blowing, and I had to get to going. I guess I just can't quit my wandering ways. but that world gone and changed me. Just got tired of all the things I see, and I'm so damn restless. I keep wandering till I'm breathless, just trying to find myself a little peace. I've been rambling for days, been up and down all over this town, and I can't quit my wandering ways. Lord, I thought it would be a phase, but I keep finding myself so far away from home, and I keep finding myself so far away from home. Thank you. Another gem. Let's rewind. Okay. This next one's called Old 99, and it goes like this. Well, old 99, won't you come down the line? Come down the line, come down the line. Old 99, won't you come down the line and bring my baby back to me? Well, I woke up one morning and I heard that whistle blow, and I felt something deep down in my soul. I turned myself over, and what did I see? My baby was in line next to me. Well, old 99, won't you come down the line? Come down the line, come down the line. Old 99, won't you come down the line and bring my baby back to me? All right, take it, Jeff. Irish Mike on the mandolin. Well, I jumped out of bed and I looked all around, but there was nobody to be found. That's when I knew she hopped on 99, and I began to cry. We're singing, oh 99, won't you come down the line? Come down the line, come down the line. Oh 99, won't you come down the line and bring my baby back to me? Whistle blows, I look towards the tracks, hoping they brought my baby back. But I turn away and leave as lonesome as can be, 'cause that train never brings her back to me. We're singing, old 99, won't you come down the line? Come down the line, come down the line. Old 99, won't you come down the line and bring my baby back to me? Singing, oh 99, won't you come down the line? Come down the line, come down time. We're singing old 99. Won't you come down the line? Come down the line. Come down the line. Old 99. Won't you come down the line and bring my baby back to me? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I played my first gig at the age of 17, and ever since that day, the devil's been hunting me. Don't know what he'd do if he got his hands on my soul, but it ain't up for grabs like the others he stole. Saying, hey, you devil, catch me if you can. Sure hope you got yourself a contingency plan. Saying, hey, you devil, you get a hold of me. I'll show you how much of a devil I can be. One day at the crossroads on 44th and McDowell, from behind me I heard that dirty scoundrel scowl. Said, hey, you coward, are you looking to dance? 'Cause when it's time to face the music, it'll be your last chance. Saying, hey, you devil, catch me if you can. Sure hope you got yourself a contingency plan. Saying, hey, you devil, you get a hold of me. I'll show you how much of a devil I can be. Saying, hey, you devil, catch me if you can. Sure hope you got yourself a contingency plan. Saying, hey, you devil, you get a hold of me. I'll show you how much of a devil I can be.
Beautiful.
Thank you. One, two, three.